Your referrals are drying up, your mailers don't work anymore, and even your farm is completely dead. It seems like no one is buying or selling real estate this year. Now, it's true that home sales are down, rates have remained high ish, and inventory is up, but none of that is why your best sources of business don't work anymore. There's only one simple reason why referrals, or frankly, any type of mass marketing to the public, is dead in the water in this type of market. Now, let me give you some comfort. It's probably not you. You aren't broken, and it's not your business either. But it's also not the ambiguous blob we call a real estate market either. The best part is that the solution is totally in your control. I'm Levi Jones, founder and head coach of Guerrilla Realty. In this video, I'm going to give you a formula you probably haven't seen for the current market that will give you that duh moment. I'm not selling some course or program. I'm just giving away this stuff because I like to see agents win, and winning starts with feeling in control of your business. All I ask is that if you find this helpful, give me a like for the algorithm and then share it with another agent who may feel out of control. Then if you comment below that you did, I'll give you the full walkthrough of the marketing I'm going to show you that still works in this market, complete with scripts and all the tools you'll need. Here's what we'll cover in this video. First, megaphone marketing is dead. The reality is that any type of marketing that targets the general public to find the few people who are actually buying and selling was never going to be the way an agent got rich. But now that type of marketing in this market doesn't work at all. So let me show you the formula for why that is and why it means your business isn't broken. Then I'm going to go over the budget breakdown that nobody talks about. Now, real estate is a business, which means finding any old marketing that happens to reel in a deal or two isn't going to cut it for long-term viability. The math is simple, but you need to figure out exactly what you can afford in this type of market to survive. And then finally, I'm going to go over whisper marketing that actually works. So if megaphone marketing is dead, then I want to be the first to introduce you to whisper marketing. That type of marketing that identifies the small percentage of people actually buying or selling first and then targets them. Let's start by acknowledging the dinosaur in the room, megaphone marketing. For decades, agents have been taught to broadcast messages as far and wide as possible. Spray the neighborhood with postcards, host open houses for the masses, blast ads on social feeds, all in hopes of stumbling across a buyer or seller. It's a noisy, generic approach that tries to find prospects after you've already spent the time and money shouting into the void. But the reality is, in today's market, noise doesn't equal trust, and trust is what closes deals. I talk to agents every day. We develop coaching plans. We look at what their business has been doing, and then what it does going forward and what we want it to do going forward. And I hear the same stories again and again. I have agents telling me, hey, Levi, I was on cruise control. My business, we did decent business over the last several years. And then last year, something happened. All of my playbooks, all of the things that always had worked for me in the past, they just don't work anymore. And now I'm discouraged. I'm feeling broken. I'm thinking about getting out of the business. And we hear this again and again. So I want to arm you with some knowledge. We're going to look at the 2021 market peak. You guys may remember the real estate market effectively shut down during COVID. There were manufacturing backups, new home construction stopped. And during 2021, right after that, as the market recovered, we had a peak. It's the most recent peak. And during that peak, about 6.12 million existing homes sold. Now, at the same time, about 762,000 new homes sold. So roughly 6.8 million total homes sold. And over those homes were sold over a population of about 1.29 million households in the United States. Okay, if you're outside the United States, the numbers probably look similar in terms of proportions. Okay, what that means is in terms of like saturation, 5.3% of the population moved in 2021. Okay, 5.3% of the population moved in 2021. And that's important as we examine what we call megaphone marketing, which is marketing that's directed at the general public. Okay, so if you're targeting the general public and 5.3% of the population is moving in a given year, that means you have that potential of doing that number of transactions. Okay. Now, in contrast, what happened in 2024 is that 4 million homes or 4.06 million existing homes sold. And at the same time, new home sales were down to 683,000 and the population grew. Okay. So at the same time as the population grew, there were fewer home sales. And so about 3.6% of the population moved in 2024. Again, this is important because that represents the total number of transactions that were available for real estate agents to do. And if you were doing this megaphone marketing, otherwise known as brand awareness marketing, where you were blasting out your message, hey, I'm a real estate agent and I can help you buy or sell a home, then your ability to garner those transactions immediately fell. That's why you may feel like, oh man, my sphere just dried up. I don't get referrals the way that I used to. It's not because everything is dried up. It's because specifically megaphone type marketing is dead for real estate agents. Now, it's not dead in general. Nike still does it. Everybody knows just do it. And eventually your shoes are going to wear out and you're going to go buy a new pair of sneakers. Well, Jordan's going to be on your mind because you have that brand awareness. But for real estate agents, we have to be smarter. So I'm going to give you a quick illustration. We're going to walk through some numbers. So we built a quick tool just to help you visualize this market shift, this change, and why some of the megaphone marketing doesn't work anymore. It's our marketing evaluator. You can access this at nerdsheets.com, but it takes a few inputs. First of all, it takes the audience of your megaphone, like how many people hear you. So if we were talking about sphere of influence marketing, let's say that you had 100 friends. Now, during the 2021 peak, you had 5.3 potential deals, right? Now, the total current deals as of last year is 3.6, but you're probably not closing all three of those if your audience is 100, because if your audience is 100, there's other real estate agents as well. So how do you figure out how many likely deals you're going to get? Well, you enter in the state population and the number of licensed agents in your area. So I'm in North Carolina. The state population is about 11 million. By the way, you can find all this information on Google. You just type in how many licensed agents are there in, insert your state. The number of licensed real estate agents, and this is not the number of realtors, this is just the number of licensed agents, is 107,000 roughly. Now, if I enter those three things, my audience, the state population, and the number of licensed agents, I can have the number of licensed closings, the current number of licensed or likely closings rather. Okay. And today it went from, hey, I could do 5 deals if my audience was 100 to now I can do maybe 1.3 as likely or 1.83 as likely. Okay. Now, some of you are going, well, that's nice, but I have a lot more friends than that. I'm a social butterfly. So what does it look like for me? Well, let's say that your audience is 500. And this is actually the story of a lot of agents that were really successful in sphere of influence type marketing, or you can actually insert any type of megaphone marketing in here. Think of, hey, I do farming, or I host open houses to the masses. Anything where you're targeting the general public and you're trying to identify those few people who are buying or selling, that's megaphone marketing. And this is why it doesn't work anymore. And during 2021, there were 26 deals that you could have gotten. Now the total deals has dropped to 18, but here's the problem. Again, you're competing with other agents within that sphere, within that audience. Okay. And so the number of likely closings dropped to 3. Now, does that sound familiar? That's why your marketing doesn't work anymore. Now, I'm not painting a bleak picture. There is a solution to this, but it is important to understand why, so that you're not just sitting there head hang low thinking, oh man, I'm broken. The market is hopeless. No. This type of marketing is hopeless. Let's break down what's really happening under the hood. Most agents have no idea how much each lead actually costs them in dollars and in hours. The industry loves telling us to invest in marketing, but rarely shows the true math behind what you're spending versus what you're getting back. This section pulls back the curtain so you can see where every marketing dollar goes and why certain sacred cows just don't pull their weight anymore. So I'm going to go over some marketing that actually works here in just a minute. But first, we got to start treating our business like a business. And I know that's crazy talk, but we got to have a budget. And specifically, I want to target a budget per lead. How much can I spend? And it doesn't always mean cash, because some of you are going, well, I don't have anything. My budget's zero. Okay, fine. It could mean your time. That counts too. And we need to have a way to figure that out. So what is your budget per lead? Now, this is going to mean doing some math, but I'm going to break it down for you. And we're going to walk through an example real quick to make it super easy. I'm also going to give you a tool at the end of this that will make it easy as well. So first things first, you need the average home price. If we are targeting buyers and sellers in our area, then we need to know the average home price for those buyers and sellers in our area. Okay. Now, the reason why we have that is because then we're going to take the average commission side. Now, I'm not talking about price fixing, but you know if it's 2% or 2.5% or 3% or 7% or whatever that number is. Okay. And this, you can ballpark it a little bit, but these two numbers combined are going to be, hey, this is about how much commission I'm going to earn on every single deal. Okay. And then we're going to divide that by the ROI. Now, this is totally foreign concept to most real estate agents. Most real estate agents will go out and purchase a marketing idea, or they'll spend some time doing marketing, and they figure, hey, if I get any return, it was great. The problem is, in most other industries, you would get laughed out of the building if you had this approach. The average US business spends less than 10% of their revenue on marketing. Now, some real estate coaches would tell you, hey, you can spend up to 20%. But I'm going to actually suggest, and we're going to go through an example here in a minute, that you can spend 10% of your marketing or 10% of your revenue on marketing. And what that equals is, in terms of ROI, is a 10x ROI. Okay. We'll go through an example here in a moment. But once you have the average home price, the average commission side, and you divide that by, in this case, 10 for the ROI, you get your budget per transaction. Okay. This is how much money you can spend and still make it a viable business long-term on a per transaction basis. Okay. Once you have your per transaction basis, you need to know how many leads it takes to get to that transaction. And this is going to vary depending on the marketing that you're doing. Okay. If you're getting a referral, it might be one lead per transaction. One referral lead, one transaction, right? But NAR gave us some indication. They actually put this number out a few years ago, where the average agent, it takes 24 leads to close a deal. So if you don't know, as you examine your marketing, if you don't know your marketing number, how many leads it takes per transaction, I just put the number 24 in here. Okay. So you have your budget per transaction. We divide it by the leads per transaction, and this gives us the budget per lead. So this may seem, I don't quite have my head around it. So let me go through a quick example. Let's say that the average home price in your area is $400,000. Okay. Maybe that's low. Maybe that's high. I'm not sure. This is just an example. We're going to multiply that by 2.5% or 0.025. Okay. Once we have that, you have $100,000, excuse me, $10,000. And then you divide it by our desired ROI, which is 10x. So you divide $10,000 by 10, we get $1,000. Now, remember what this number represents. This is our budget per transaction. So to get the ROI that we want, we can spend up to $1,000 every transaction. But again, that's not necessarily helpful because we aren't out there marketing for transactions. We are in the end. We don't have a lot of control over that, even when we're doing direct response marketing. So we actually want a budget per lead. So we're going to take that $1,000 and we're going to divide it by 24. Where's 24 come from? Again, that's what NAR says is the average agent, how many leads it takes to close a single deal. Okay. So once you do that number, then you get about $42 per lead. So this is how much you could spend on marketing. You could spend up to $42 a lead and still make it a viable return long-term in your business. Now, if your eyes are crossed and you're going, that math is complicated for me, Levi, you didn't break it down enough. Well, we actually built a tool that you can use. We call it our marketing evaluator. Just like the megaphone marketing evaluator, you can access it at nerdsheets.com. And in fact, I'll link to a full breakdown video we did on this channel a few weeks ago, and you can check it out. But basically, it's going to help you come up with your budget per lead because you're going to input your average home price, your average commission side, and it's also going to help you calculate the value, the dollar value of your time. That way you can actually put in some of those marketing ideas that you're thinking about or you're currently doing, and you're like, I'm not sure if it's worth it. This will actually help you come up with, hey, it is worth it or it's not based on the ROI that I want. Okay. So this marketing evaluator is something that you absolutely want to check out. And you want to make sure that whatever type of marketing that you're doing, your cost per lead is less than your budget per lead. If you do that, you're now operating like a business. If megaphone marketing is about shouting to strangers, whisper marketing flips that on its head. Instead of blasting everyone, it focuses quietly on people who have already raised their hand and said, I'm ready. These are the homeowners, buyers, and sellers who have self identified. And with the right approach, you're not persuading them to act, you're simply meeting them at the right moment. It's precise, cost controlled, and designed for the real estate professional who values effectiveness over ego. Some of you may be thinking, you've painted a dark picture. All the things that used to work, you've told me they no longer work anymore. So what do I do, Levi? Well, the truth is you were never going to get to be a top producer just doing megaphone marketing anyways. Okay. Unless you had multiple streams and you were spending either gobs of time or gobs of money. Most top producers have some direct response or whisper marketing integrated into their business. So I'm going to give you 5 different marketing playbooks that we use here in our business. I'm not going to go over the step-by-step details in this video, but I'll link to some videos where we have gone through it. And if you want the full walkthrough, just comment below, share it with a friend, and we'll make sure and get you a private link. But whisper marketing, okay? Again, all whisper marketing is instead of targeting the general public and trying to get the 3%, trying to find and locate the 3% that are actually buying or selling, we're actually going to go directly to the 3% and we're going to get them to raise their hand from there. So it becomes a much more targeted, quiet way of going after buyers and sellers. Okay. So the first thing that we use is the classified playbook. This is our playbooks where we target buyers and sellers who are searching on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. Now, again, we're doing all of the playbooks the whisper marketing playbooks that I'm going to go through with you, and the average lead count that we get from each. They all fit within the budget per lead, well under the budget per lead that we just talked about. So first things first, the classified playbook. Okay. Then we use our Zillow hack playbook. Again, I'll link to a video we've done on the Zillow hack playbook above. Then we use our up circulating playbook. I'll also link above where we go through the details, the step by step. But we're developing what we call a playbook stack. This is so that we don't have any one stream of leads coming in. We're actually targeting buyers and sellers across a bunch of different streams so that we can make sure and get enough leads to close the kind of deals that we want to do. Okay. That way we're not captured by what's happening in the market, whether it's 5% of the population is moving or 3% of the population. We're always targeting whatever that percentage is, and we're generating leads that way. And we're doing it in a way that always produces an ROI that we can live with long term. We use a Google My Business playbook. This is where we basically go through and optimize our profile. Everybody has a Google My Business profile. Most people don't touch it or even think about it. We go over it in detail in our Google My Business playbook. And then finally, we create a world-class marketing forecast or market forecast where we actually deep dive into the market and then we generate listing leads from it. So let's take a look at the average number of leads that we generate. So from Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, every single month, we generate about 80 leads. Then we generate about 30 leads a month from Zillow hack. And then our up circulating, typically 25 to 30. I actually run the up circulating about every other month. And then our Google My Business is significantly less, but it runs. Okay. And then finally, the X forecast, I typically generate about 10 listing leads a month. Again, none of those are going to by themselves make you a top producer. When you stack them together, you generate 160 leads. Okay. And so again, whisper marketing is just, hey, I want to identify that 3% or that 5%, or maybe at some point the market goes wild and it's 7% of the population is moving because they've all been sitting on their hands recently. Okay. When you're doing whisper marketing, you're targeting them where they're at, and you're saying, hey, who here has raised their hands? Let me get that person. Um, and you're going to do it in such a way that you're not just blasting out, spending thousands of dollars, blowing through your budget. You're doing it in a way that always produces the return that you want. When you do that, you're now in control of your business. You're not feeling captured. You're not like, oh, my marketing is broken or my business is broken. The real estate market, the rates are high. I can't do anything. That's no longer you. Now you're saying, hey, no matter what happens in the market, I am in control. Look, you aren't crazy and the market is not hopeless, but you can't rely on the old contact your sphere and cross your fingers strategy anymore. You need to start targeting those people who have already raised their hand and identified themselves as buying and selling, and then connect with them. And you need to do it in a way that fits your budget. So if you want to see more whisper marketing ideas that target actual buyers and sellers, then go ahead and subscribe to this channel and turn your notifications on, because that's what we do here. We publish new video ideas every week. Now, I just showed you the short version of this strategy today, but if you want the full walkthrough of our best whisper marketing strategies with scripts, tools, and a step-by-step breakdown just like this video, then share it with a friend. When you comment below that you did, I will send you a private link with everything. See you next time.
Look, we've doubled our real estate business 3 times since 2019. If you want the full breakdown, exact scripts, step-by-step processes, and our brand new tool, drop a comment below.
No gimmicks, no paywalls. We're sending it completely free because we know it works.
Just type "send it" in the comments and we'll get it to you ASAP.
And if this was helpful, stick with us. We're dropping more strategies twice a week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next.